Hello, cheapskaters. I'm Kath Armstrong, creator of the Cheapskates Club, where our goal is to live life debt-free, cashed up and laughing. If this is your first visit to our website, to our YouTube channel, welcome. And if it's not, welcome back. I'm sorry I missed last week. I was really trying hard to get here, but I had no voice, I couldn't talk. It was just a bit of a disaster. So you get to put up with me now. Okay. Now, I've been a bit slack. No surprise, probably say. But I have to say thank you to Helen for the happy mail. I'm only a couple of months slow, I'm sure. But it was a really lovely surprise in the post office box, and everything will be put to good use. And I have to say thank you to Anonymous, you know who you are, for the surprise last week. It was a surprise. It was a lovely surprise. So thank you very much for thinking of us. Well, cheapskaters are... cheapskaters are... I've lost my spot. We're a generous bunch, yes. Sorry, guys, I'm still really woozy. And I know I say I don't like surprises, but those two were really lovely surprises. Now, I hope everyone on the sick list is feeling better and on the mend. I'm still trying to cough up a lung every now and then, and I'm a bit raspy. But I'm so much better than I was this time last week. I think it's been a really hard winter. It's been a cold winter. I have really felt the cold this year. And even though it's spring, there's still a few weeks of cold and wet weather to go for us. And it's the sort of weather that's just right for incubating bugs. So everyone, stay healthy, I hope. All right, let's see who's with us. I'm going to zip across and see, because I know. Oh, see if that works. Yep. Okay, Kerry, I hope you're feeling better after the fall. It's no fun falling as a grown-up. We're so much further from the ground than little kids. It hurts more, I always say. Hello, Barb. Hello, Selena. Who else is there? Let's see. Oslander, nice to see you. Jenny. Julie. I'm sorry, Margaret. Hello, Estelle. Oh gosh, I'm a bit slow tonight too. Michelle, Nikki from Brisbane. Are you new, Nikki, or have I just not recognised your name before? Done it frugal with Danny, Simone, Amy, Wild Woman, Catherine, Delaney's here. Now I've scrolled down. First time you've joined live chat. Welcome, Nikki. Glad you could join us. Lynette. Annabelle. Hello, Annabelle. Catnaps. I love that name. I just love that. Aradia Tegan, Outback 6. Evelyn. Oh, my, we've got a full house tonight. Sylvia, Trina, Maureen, Beverly, Amy. Hello, Jane. Hello, Greg. Okay, and before Colleen, Trish. Okay. All right, so it's 7:34. Let's get started, because I have my trusty hot drink to try and keep my throat from seizing on me. I've sat on this topic for a long time, a long time. I have been sitting on this topic. If you think back a couple of Christmases ago, I did one that said I'm not dreaming of a COVID normal Christmas, and explained why. This is sort of expanding on that this tonight, because it's time we woke up, people. And if you're not already awake, there's the proverbial clip across the ear hole to wake you up. Guys, this is not normal. How we are living in 2022 is not normal. It's absolutely not normal, and it is not right. And I know someone's going to say, well, here she goes again, and it's all political, and I don't like political, and it's got nothing to do with cheapskating and living the cheapskate's way. But you know what? It's not necessarily political. And if you don't like political, that's fine. But it has absolutely everything to do with living the cheapskate's way. And absolutely everything to do with living life debt-free, cashed up, and laughing. So we need to understand that this isn't normal, and we need to find our normal. Now, if you want to join in the live chat, you've got to be logged into your YouTube or Gmail account. So many of you are. If you don't have either of those, leave a comment in the comment section below. I read every comment and I do my best to answer every question. And I really, really appreciate you taking the time to share with me. So I'm going to really try and not go over time, although 7:36. Seem like we've got plenty, don't we? Now, before I go any further, I need to stress that if anything I say tonight, or anything I say in any of my videos, or anything I write in any of the articles on Cheapskates Club or in the newsletter or anything else scares you, ask yourself why. Think about it and find out why my words scare you. I can't stress enough, do your own research. God made us with brains capable of independent thought. So we should use that blessing to our advantage. This isn't normal. The way we're living at the moment is not normal. Now, you might be feeling like it is, that your life's going well, things are pretty good. You may have food on the table and a roof over your head and an income. And that's great. Because there are many, even in Australia, who don't have all those things, two of those things, one of those things. But I want to ask, has your mortgage repayment gone up? 4 times so far this year. The 0.5% increase today has bumped up a $500,000 mortgage by another $144 a month. On top of the previous 3 rises, that's just over $600 a month that households are having to find extra. And the RBA has at least 2 more interest rate rises scheduled before the end of this year. And there could be another, up to another 5 in the coming months. That's a lot, guys. And has your grocery bill gone up? When I was researching for this show last week, I updated the notes. The average has increased. It's a 20% increase in the weekly grocery bill this year. And that's for a grocery bill that's like mine, probably a lot like yours. It's generics, it's ingredients, nothing packaged or convenient, no extravagances. And for a lot of us, it could be even more than 20%. That's not normal. Now, even the CEO of Richie's, Fred, and I'm sorry, his name's gone, admits that inflation is pushing grocery prices sky high. And he tried to explain it that it's part of the cycle. Apparently there's a 10-year cycle of very low, below cost grocery prices. Then the adjustment happens to bring them back into line. Well, no, I'm not buying it. Now, I do agree to a certain extent that this inflation has been planned. That's the Reserve Bank, they'll tell you. This inflation is deliberate and it is designed to keep you poor. They may not admit to that. But do you really think you're better off than you were 2.5 years ago? You might think so, because we can move around easily now. There's no 5-kilometre limits. We're not stuck in home. We don't need permits to go interstate. We only need to wear a mask on public transport or indoors. So things are good, aren't they? They're pretty good. Well, that is called normalcy bias. We've endured so much over the last 2.5 years that anything that remotely resembles how things should be makes life normal. We've been conditioned to accept trauma after trauma so that when the next disaster occurs, it'll be bigger and worse and we'll accept it. Because, a lot of people, they won't even realise it's a disaster. They'll be of the mindset that life goes on and these things are normal. Well, they're not. Now, we can't control the world we live in, but we can control ourselves and we can control our lives. We can make sure that we understand what is and isn't normal, that we use our independent thought to keep ourselves and our families safe. And we don't have to accept on face value whatever we are told. Now, like I said a couple of minutes ago, do your own research. Even if it's just to find out how to make jam, do your own research. Now, by all means, watch my videos. Please watch my videos and use my recipes. Happy to share. But find out more from other sources if you're not sure. Why? Because it's far too easy to become complacent. It's far too easy to pass responsibility for our decisions to someone else. Have you ever heard someone say, the government should fix it? And just, it's too easy. It's too easy to just take every word that comes your way as truth because it's easy and because you can't be bothered doing the research or standing up for what you want. There's such a hassle and there's arguments and people call you names and think you're a crackpot. And every time you do let someone else do that, you give up some of your personal freedom. You give it up. It's not taken from you. You give it up. Every time you let someone else make a decision for you without questioning it and without doing your research to make sure it's right for you, you give up a little bit of your personal freedom. And you will never, ever get it back. Don't let the media, and that includes me and my channel, just don't let us dumb you down. Don't let the media or anyone else, it could be your co-workers, family, neighbours, your pastor, your best friend, don't let anyone dumb you down. Keep your independence. Keep your independent thought. Keep asking questions and doing your research. Don't become complacent. Now, that's me being nice. If you want to know what I'm really thinking, I'm saying don't get lazy and let someone else be responsible for your life. That isn't normal, and it might seem like it, but it's not. Every day we accept something without question, without trying to change it to suit us, without thought, it becomes normal. Now, years ago, some of you old people like me might remember subliminal advertising was banned in Australia, and that was a good thing. But if you watch the evening news or you read social media constantly, you'll be seeing the same stories over and over and over, perhaps with a different headline or a different thumbnail, maybe slightly different words, but they'll all have the same underlying message until it becomes normal, until you are conditioned to believe it. Do you remember the movie Field of Dreams? If you build it, they will come. Think of it this way. If you say it often enough or see it often enough, it becomes fact. If you don't believe me, language. Language is a perfect example of how a made-up word can actually become a recognised word and make its way into the dictionary. First, someone uses a new collection of letters as a word. Could be Flugelhoffel. Then someone else thinks, that's a really good word, and they use it. Then someone else hears it and thinks, that's a really good word, and they use it. And before long, everyone is using Flugelhoffel, and suddenly what is a non-word is now a word in common use with a recognised meaning, before too long, it's recognised as a word by a lexicographer and finds its way into the dictionary. That's how it happens. Normalcy bias works the same way. Repeat something often enough and it isn't shocking or scary or unusual. We've become complacent because we've been desensitized, and therefore it's normal, even if it isn't really, and it feels okay because, hey, it's normal. The way we're living right now in 2022 is not normal. And please don't tell me it's the new normal, because if it's not normal, it can't be a new normal. It can be brainwashing to get a whole nation to change the way they think, but it isn't normal. Now, I know things change. I change every day. I get older for a start every day. That's change. Cheapskates Club members come and go. That's change. YouTube changes its rules. But what is being forced on us as normal now isn't. It's people living in fear. They're too scared to fly. They're too scared to leave their homes. They're too scared to visit sick friends. They're too scared to not wear a mask everywhere. That isn't normal. It's not even a new normal. It's absolute terror for these people. They live in fear. So how do we as individuals maintain normal? By living our lives, by doing what we've always done, by understanding that, yes, things change naturally, and that is okay. But changes that are forced on us aren't okay. It's time to wake up to what is happening in the world. We've got wars. We've got natural disasters, strikes, dare I say the P word, the pandemic. These things have been happening forever. They're not new. So it's time for us to wake up and look ahead. We need to decide whether we want our normal or this craziness. We need to look at how we want to live and make a decision. If this is the supposed new normal, are we going to live like this, or do we want to live the life that we want to live? Do we want to be able to raise our families the way we want? We're doing our research. We make sure that what we are told is best for us is really best for us. We live normally by stocking our pantries, by building a stockpile of ingredients we can use to create meals when the shops are empty because they're getting that way, or price rises start to impact our budgets. You're really lucky if they haven't yet. We live our normal by growing a garden. Now, I know some of you already do, and I absolutely love to hear about them. But there are some of you who don't, for all manner of excuses. And yes, they're excuses. They're not reasons. You don't need a 1/4 acre block to grow veggies. Pots, even grocery bags, boxes, milk bottles, old boots. As long as the container will hold soil and can drain water, it can be used to grow something. It doesn't have to be fancy. Lettuce, for instance, they've finally come down in price, but we all know they're going to go up again closer to Christmas and for our summer holidays. So grow them. They are so simple to grow. Radishes are easy to grow. They are really undervalued, radishes. And honestly, if you haven't been including radishes in your coleslaw, you do not know what you are missing. They just add a really nice little peppery bite without it being hot. Radishes are great. Herbs, parsley, chives, spring onions, garlic, rosemary, oregano, thyme, basil, they're all easy to grow and they all love pots. Do you know, all our fruit trees are in pots. I love pots. We've got 3 apple trees, 2 pears, a peach, 2 lemons, a lime, 3 orange trees, 2 mandarins, and a grapefruit. They're all in pots. We also have raspberries, black currants, and strawberries, all in pots. We are not relying on supermarkets or greengrocers to supply our needs and wants. We are doing all we can to be self-sufficient. And you know what? For us, this is normal. We've been doing this for 28 years. Now, I do need to stress, though, with stocking a pantry, that you stock what you eat and use and then eat it and use it. If you replace what you eat as you eat it, your stockpile will be maintained. Your pantry will be maintained. The other thing I need to stress is don't think that just because something's cheap, you'll eat it, because you won't. And that's wasted shelf space and wasted money. It does not matter how cheap those smoked oysters in tomato sauce are. If you don't like smoked oysters or tomato sauce, you will not eat them. Now, you might think you will if you're hungry enough, but how hungry is that? I know I would need to be near death to eat oysters. And if I'm that far gone, well, not only won't they save me, but I won't be able to eat them anyway. I'll be too weak. So stock what you eat and use, and then eat and use it. Building a pantry to me is perfectly normal. It's something I've been doing since disaster struck. That's a very, very long time. I've been talking about pantry building for 21 years on Cheapskates. I suggest that everyone needs at least some food security in the form of a stocked pantry. It just makes sense. And now it seems that even the naysayers and the skeptics that keeping more food than you can eat in a week is a waste brigade have woken up. And they're changing their message. They're telling everyone to build your pantry, stock up, get food in. My message hasn't changed, and it's not going to. Look ahead, plan ahead, stock your pantry, get out of debt, do all you can to be as self-sufficient and as self-reliant as possible, because that is normal. Being dictated to, being told what to buy, how much to buy. There's limits on eggs, limits on toilet paper, limits on paracetamol. That's not normal. That's taking away your freedom of choice. Now, I understand that there are reasons for that, because there are people that were going out and buying every egg inside, or every packet of toilet paper inside, or every packet of Panadol inside. They're not normal. Sorry, that's just crazy. But we need to be able to live our life the way we want to live it. And we need to be able to use our thought process to do that. The only way we can do that is by looking ahead, planning ahead, doing our own research, understanding that what is happening is not normal and is taking away our freedoms. We are in a unique situation living in Australia. We have really good temperate weather. We don't have extremes of cold. We do have extremes of heat. But for most of us, we are able to live with that. Our Northern Hemisphere friends aren't so lucky. Their winters are bitter. And I've been speaking the last couple of weeks with I have friends in England, friends in Canada, friends in Northern USA. They're all beside themselves, worrying about what's going to happen in winter, because fuel shortages, power shortages, rising prices, food shortages, seed shortages. They're looking ahead for next spring, for seeds. Now, I'm stocked up on my seeds, so I haven't had an issue with that. But I did do a quick scout at our local hardware the other day, and their seeds were pretty, they were empty spots. So seeds could be hit or miss for us this coming summer. They're essentials. food, fuel, seeds, they're essentials. Medications, they're essentials. We can't live without food. If we need medication, we need medication. We need seeds to be able to grow food. So you can bet if there's shortages for us, there will be shortages for farmers. The shortages are real. Now, I know that where you are, there might not be any. But where I am, there are. And it's odd things. But I was in Aldi yesterday. I was in Aldi yesterday. And normally on a Monday afternoon, they've had their Monday delivery. After the weekend, they're pretty stocked up. No. The fruit and veg, the produce was almost empty. Meat wasn't too bad, but meat's very expensive. I don't know. We need to keep doing what is normal for us. Right. Let me just pop over and see. Oh, lots of comments. Okay. All right, guys. Now, oh gosh. I'm just going to see your comments so that I can. It's never too late to join in, Estelle. Shelf Timber's fun. I'm quite enjoying it. I rearranged our meal plan tonight, and we ended up having sort of enchiladas. So using up, because I had some chicken to use up, I had some rice to use up. There were beans in the pantry. I had salsa in the freezer, so we had enchiladas. Okay. Oh gosh. Sorry, guys. I'm still on a hose. Okie dokie. Oh, that clicking's annoying, isn't it? Okay, Kylie says, Inigo Jones, long-term weather, talks about only having one house, not building in floodplains and being debt-free. Has been shouting it repeatedly for 2 years. Yep. When we were buying our first house, we could have had a much nicer home, but it would have actually been on a floodplain, and we could not get a mortgage because it was on a floodplain. So for the same price, we had to move closer into town, and the house we bought was lovely, but we could have had a much nicer house, same price, but it was on the floodplain, and we could not get the mortgage. No bank would give us a mortgage because it was on the floodplain. So I know there are lots of houses that have been built on floodplains for 100, 120 or more years. But also, I think if you do a little bit of digging, the floodplains are changing because we're building, because of the way we urban sprawling or whatever, the floodplains are changing, the rivers are changing, the floodplains are changing. So it's an evolving, constantly evolving thing that's going to be quite hard to do. I don't think it'll be normal again either. Do goldfish have memories, Auslander? I'm just wondering. Yeah, thank you, Delaney. Oh, Tegan has a, oh, how exciting. Ooh. Oh, I'm excited for you. Oh, that is so good. A lot of people, this is an interesting point. A lot of people watch the prepping, survival, frugal living channels for the entertainment and do nothing about it. A lot of them have great intentions, but again, it is a bit of a partly their fault, partly our fault, especially for younger people, because I'm a mean mother. I'm a mean mother. I was the worst mother in the world. My kids will tell you, I was mean. They fell over and they cried. Unless there was a bone sticking out, it was, you'll be all right, off you go. We didn't mollycoddle. We didn't mollycoddle our kids. We didn't pander to them. And we weren't their friends. I was their mother. Wayne was their father. Wayne, I am their mother. Wayne is their father. And they knew it. We weren't there to be friends. We were there to raise them, to turn them into adults that were able to work a job, had good manners, knew how to look after themselves and other people. We wanted them to be valuable members of society. We didn't go along with the every child has to get a ribbon, even if it's just for participation. That wasn't us. Because if little people don't learn when they are little that there's always going to be someone that can run faster than them or read more books than them or do a better project than them, they're going to turn into adults that don't understand that there's always going to be someone with a better paying job than them, that has more authority than them, and they're going to be a miserable adult for a very long time, because we're adults for a lot longer than we are children. This whole inclusion thing, in terms of if you have a birthday party, you have to invite the whole class, is ridiculous. If your child isn't friendly with the whole class, don't invite the whole class. They have to learn. Just like our kids had to earn their pocket money. They had chores to do, and they weren't part of our regular normal household chores. They were different things because they were expected as part of the family to help with the dishes, to put their washing out, to make their beds, keep their rooms tidy. That was what they were expected to do as part of the family. That's what living in a family house means. You have to do those things. So they had to do other, if they wanted something extra, they had to earn it. And they had to work for it. If it took them 6 months to earn the money for it, it took them 6 months to earn the money for it, because as adults, we have to save up for what we want. We have to work to earn the money to save up for what we want. They need to learn that too. So I think they have a lot of good intentions, but because they are used to not being made to follow through. oh, well, we'll start something, but I'm sick of it, I'm bored, I won't finish it. And I have to say, I am a bit guilty of doing that sometimes. I'll start something and go, get over this, and have to force myself to finish it. And I do have a pile of UFOs that I'm working through, but there's been no follow through. So they think they can just start something and go, can't be bothered, walk away and leave it. There's no consequences to their actions, probably is a better way of saying it. So until they realise that there are consequences for their inaction, nothing will happen. It's a bit like you can say to a toddler, don't touch that heater, it's hot, you'll get burnt, don't touch it. And they won't touch it until you're not looking. They'll touch it and get burnt because they don't know what a burn is. Until they experience that burn, they don't know that it's going to hurt. Just because mummy or daddy has said it will doesn't click in their little brain. They need to learn. And I think we've got probably 2 coming into maybe a 3rd generation of people who just simply want someone else to do it for them because it's their right. They deserve it. They shouldn't be made to work so hard. My auntie was telling me at the weekend about an 18-year-old she knows who's started a customer service job straight out of school, no work experience, started a customer service job and is earning $72,000 a year. That's ridiculous. That is just ridiculous. But anyway, they deserve a high wage because you know what? They work. They work for it. So do I. So do you. Amy's upping her canning game. Yes. Nikki says she thinks a lot of people have lost hope over the last 2.5 years, as well as jobs, homes, etc. Again, I think that it's too easy to fall into that trap because someone else has to fix it for them. So instead of going, okay, lost my job, need to find another job or another 2 jobs or another 3 jobs, I have to work. It's I've lost my job. Poor me, woe is me. What are we going to do? Oh no, we can't pay the bills. What are we going to do? Someone has to help us. Oh no, don't have that attitude. Help yourself. It's nice to have someone to help you, but seriously, help yourself. Learn to help yourself. Expect to help yourself. Then when other help is offered, accept it gracefully and gratefully, but always be prepared to help yourself. And if that sounds harsh, then maybe it is, but having been there, done that, no, no. All right. Okay. That's a P word I don't mind. But that's absolutely true. That is absolutely true. There's not a politician on this earth, regardless of whether they belong to a party or an independent or whatever, who is going to lay down their life for you. They're not going to give you food off their table. They are not going to take a cut and pay so that you can eat. I'm not saying there's politicians that don't have good intentions and who don't do good, but we've got to be real. We've got to be real. Yes, I think words starting with P and words starting with R, responsibility is sadly lacking in Australia. Haven't lived anywhere else, can't say, but definitely in Australia, responsibility at a federal level, responsibility at a state level, local level, and our own personal responsibility. No one wants to be responsible for themselves. They want someone else to do it for them all the time. The government has to fix it. Someone should do something about that. I used to say, if I hear one more person say the government should fix it, I'll slap them. And I'm not a particularly violent person, but it just makes, why should the government fix it? If you see something wrong, fix it yourself or do something about it. Do something to get it fixed. Don't rely on someone else to do it for you, because it will not happen. So, eyebrows, I don't mind that word at all. Sorry, no, Estelle. You need to understand that with language, if you're talking about the news stories and how they change slightly, that is it's a sneaky way. The underlying message remains the same. They change the words. And by changing the words and the tone of their voice, the message is still there, but you don't see it or you don't hear it. It doesn't sink in consciously. It's a subconscious. It's, I'm going to lose my voice again. It's subliminal messaging is what I'm talking about. And it happens a lot with mainstream media. And one of my favorite things is watch the words, listen for the words. There are keywords in every story. And if you pick those keywords out, they're repeated over and over and over and over as a way of conditioning you to hear that story the way they want you to hear it. All right, now. Yes, Nikki, very important to look behind and see who. I always say follow the money. Follow the money. And again, because they don't want to be responsible for themselves, a lot, there's I'm going to upset someone, doesn't matter how I say this. There are people who with genuine mental health problems who need help. There are people who are too lazy to help themselves who also fall under that mental health umbrella, simply because there's nowhere else to put them, because nobody is prepared to turn around and say to them, get off your patootie and do X, or get off your patootie and find a job, or here's a job for you, or help yourself. So I'm not putting down anyone with genuine mental health problems, because they exist. They exist. But there's a whole lot more that are simply because people are too lazy to help themselves. I know I'm going to get caned for that. People are going to hate me for it, but it's the truth. There's a whole lot of people It's like the people that go, oh, I can't find a job, I can't find a job, I can't find a job. Well, what are you trying to do? I want to be a brain surgeon. Well, have you been to university? Did you finish high school, go to university? Have you trained as a doctor, done your residency? No, I've worked at McDonald's, but I want to be a brain surgeon, so I can't find a job. They don't want to do. Yeah, Barb, tea's gone up, something shocking. For my fruit trees, they are, I think they're 60 centimeters across, my pots for the fruit trees. I grow them in pots because I can manage them better in pots. They don't get too tall for me to be able to manage. I still get plenty of fruit off them. I can also control the feeding and the watering and whatever, but mainly because I can control the size, how big the tree gets, without having to worry about it getting away from me if it's in the ground. And I can move the pots around, so that works too. It's a bit of a concern that there's so many people living in cities with fuel shortages, food shortages, power shortages, bugs and flus and whatever else going around. It's really quite concerning to think that there's so many people in cities and so many of them in high rises. Now, was I watching something or reading something over the weekend? And they were talking about building high rises and high rise apartment blocks. And they would have, 400 families in one apartment block. I must have been reading it because it was about solar power and them being those apartment blocks being off grid and completely run by solar or wind power. And what would happen if it went down? Because there's no gas. So the electricity to run the pumps for water wouldn't happen if the solar went out, if the wind went out. The batteries, the size of the batteries that they would need to use. It was very interesting. Yeah. I understand that some people like them, but I don't. I see too many issues. Okay. Yeah. We're building our pantries to a level that we're comfortable with, so that if we get, hangnail and can't go out, we don't have to panic about not having food in the house or not having the dog food or not being able to, do the washing because there's no soap powder. We keep our pantries stocked. If you buy what you use and use what you buy and replace it as you use it, your pantry will always be stocked, and it will always be fresh, because first in, first out, always. Okay. I would love a proper pantry. If we had a climate that was conducive to storing long term, it would be really good. Things like a root cellar for storing potatoes, onions, carrots, sweet potatoes, pumpkins, that sort of thing, that while we can keep them for a while, our climate doesn't quite allow us to keep them for long term, which is a shame. Although I've still got 2 pumpkins to go from the ones that we got earlier. Hannah got them really, really cheap at her fruit shop. Colleen's converted her spare room into a pantry. Her kids call it the food bank. Trina, not everyone wants to know. Not everyone wants to. It's too easy. It's too easy when the food runs out, and the government gives them a little book, and they have to stand in line for 5 hours to get a loaf of bread. Maybe then they'll understand. That's not going to happen anytime soon. I'm not saying that's around the corner, guys. It's just an example. I was ABC radio yesterday morning, must have been yesterday morning, and maybe it was this morning, I don't know. Fellow on the radio, and he goes, well, you know what? I get my news in the 15 minutes I drive to work in the morning, and the 15 minutes I drive home in the afternoon, and I live in blissful ignorance, and I'm really happy that I don't know what's going on. And that's sort of a nice, I understand that, because when we go away and we can be out of range for 6 weeks, it is actually kind of nice to know what's not going. We don't know what's going on, and like the whole world could blow up around us and we wouldn't know. That's kind of nice. But when we come home and we have to live in it, we need to know. And we don't, and this is where we need to do our research and listen and watch and look for those keywords so that we don't panic and we don't get scared. There's no reason to be scared if we prepare, if we plan ahead. You don't decide to get married today and do it tomorrow. At the very least, you have to wait for a 31 days, I think, to get a marriage license. So you've got a bit of time to plan. So you plan something. You choose the celebrant or the minister. You choose where you're going to get married. You choose what you're going to wear. So you put a bit of a plan in place. So we should be doing that with preparing our pantries. And remember, our pantries aren't just food, medications, clothes, garden supplies, cleaning supplies, toiletries, gifts. If you go over to the Bluebirds Are Nesting, there's a whole thing on a gift pantry. It's really interesting. I talk about the present box all the time. So we prepare. You take a loan to a mortgage to buy a house, and you do that with a plan to pay it back. Hopefully you do it with a plan to pay it back. So you prepare. That's what we need to do. Lots of people don't want to because they just, for whatever reason, don't find it necessary. Someone will help me. Someone will bail me out. Someone will buy me food. Someone will leave a hamper on our doorstep. Someone will come and weed my garden. Yeah. So lots of people, they just don't want to. There we go. For Victorian Cheapskaters, NQR's got seeds 3 for $5. That is a good price. Check the best before date on the back, just to make sure they're not out of date. All right. Sorry. Okay. All right. There will be, I have to tell you a funny story. In my family, in my extended family, I'm the weird one. I'm the odd one in the family, which is probably not, probably you go, well, really, no surprises. But yes, my aunties used to tell me that I was weird because I kept the pantry full, and because I bottle fruit and I can things and I dehydrate and I grow a huge garden, or not a huge garden, but a garden, and I do all these things. And it's quite weird, really, really quite weird. And I knit and I sew and I crochet, and so the nutters are already out there. All right. Oh, good. Colleen and I we must have had, did we share the Mean Mother badge? Caroline's got her first ever canning set up. Cool. This is really interesting. I'd really like to talk about this too. Cashless society. I like cash. It was really interesting during our lockdown here, where stores were actually saying, no, we're not taking cash. No, you've got to pay by card. And only once did I say, well, I've only got cash, and oh, sorry, no, you've got to pay by card. And I thought, keep the groceries, I don't care. And I left. Everyone else was quite happy to take cash. And two of the stores that I go to occasionally, smaller family-run type stores, had big signs up saying, pay by cash, pay by card, we don't care as long as you pay. So it was really interesting. Because seriously, if they're worried about the germs on cash, they'll look at, no, don't go there. ATMs are disappearing. Really, really disappearing. Two from our local strip shopping centre have gone. There's only one left there now, and it's not my bank. All right, so guys, it's nearly time. I wanted to go. Don't want to go. Don't want to go. Yep. I keep thinking, what could I have done with $72,000 when I was 18? Well, it would have been a lot. I was talking about this at the weekend too. My very first job out of school, I earned $46 a week, and then I had to pay tax on that. And I thought I was rich. Yeah, interesting, isn't it? Oh. Yeah, sorry guys. No, that's a really sore point with me. All three of our kids have tertiary education. Two boys went to uni. Hannah went through and did her hairdressing. They finished not owing a cent. Not owing a cent. None of them have any HECS or help debt at all. It wasn't easy, especially with the boys, but it was really quite funny when number one son started at RMIT, and it was a case of I just handed him my card and told him what to do, and he went in and he rang me and said, "Mum, the lady wants to talk to you." Okay. I thought she wanted to verify that it was my card. No, she wanted to make sure that he was doing what he wanted to do. And we were paying the year in advance. We were paying for the whole year at the beginning of the year. And she wanted to make sure. And I said, well, we worked it out. And if we paid the whole year up front in advance, we got the discount for paying the whole year in advance, and we got a discount for paying cash. And she went, oh, yeah, yes. And I said, so that actually brings his fees down to slightly less than what we were paying in private school fees, year 12 private school fees for him. And she went, really? I went, yep. So we did that with all three. Now, it wasn't easy, and we all had to work really, really hard to make sure that money was there at the beginning of each year to do that for them. But I see no point in starting your working life already in debt, especially if you are in debt to the government, because once you are in debt to the government, you are never, ever, ever out of debt to the government. They hold that over you for the rest of your life. And then, of course, you've got the mindset that, well, I'm just going to be a perpetual student because I don't really want to work, and I can get all this education for free pretty much. I only have to pay $500 up front at the beginning of the year or whatever it is. And then because I'm never going to earn more than however much it is these days, I'll never have to pay it back. Well, you know what? I kind of resent working and paying my taxes to support someone with that mindset. So I would be really, really ticked off if that happens. Oh. So. All right, guys. I remember that, Delaney. I was interviewed for about the recession that we had to have, which was really interesting because that was about the time interest rates were hitting 18% and unemployment was quite high. And yeah. All right, guys, I can't keep up with you. No, Estelle, I haven't, but I will make a note and I will look it up. Because seriously, I am responsible for me. I'm responsible for my family. Within the family, they all have their own responsibilities to themselves too. If we do not accept responsibility for ourselves, if we do not accept responsibility for our own actions, we might as well just be zombies, sitting in a corner, sucking our thumbs. So you're helping yourself. You're helping yourself. That's what I was saying, Nikki. You might have issues, you might have problems, you might have health problems, mental health problems, whatever, but you are doing something to help yourself too. And that's what a lot of people who just, no, they'll go under they've come under that umbrella and it's too easy. It's too easy for them to just do nothing. And, then they wonder why their bottoms spread and their beer guts get beer guttier and the weeds in the garden take over, because they don't do anything. So you're doing something to help yourself, and that's what I was saying. I knew I'd get it wrong. I always do. All right. Oh, Kerry's put berries in 60-litre tubs. If you pop over to Cheapskates Chatter on Facebook, scroll down a bit, you'll see Kerry's garden. She's got photos of her garden there. It's looking really good. You could be right, Jackie. Amy, my fruit trees are all regular size, but I keep them cut down so they get pruned back so that I can reach them all the time. They're doing really, really well. Okay, all right. I've gone over time. Yes, I know wind turbines are not recyclable. I also know that the wind farm at Yass at the moment isn't working. And it won't be working probably for another 3 or 4 weeks because they can't get the parts, because the parts come from overseas. So the whole thing's down. Yeah, I heard Canberra from 2023. That's next year, isn't it? Yeah, from 2023. There will be no natural gas piped into new buildings, into new builds in the ACT from next year. They're doing away with natural gas, which seems rather stupid, but who am I to say? What happens when the grid goes down? Well, Kerry, you and I will be fine because we've got shelf-stable canned veggies and meat and soups and stews to eat. When the grid goes down, the grid goes down. There will be no power. We think when we think power, we think lights and, you know, TV and stuff like that, but think water. Nothing to, no pumps, no electricity to power the pumps, to pump the water. There's no water. No fuel, because there's no electricity to pump the fuel from the petrol stations. All sorts of things happen when the grid goes down. People will die. $17 a week. Wow. See, I knew I was rich. Why is everything increasing in price? Well, there's a few. There are some genuine reasons that things are increasing in price. Here in Australia, and I'm not sure where you are, but Slush Puppy, maybe thinking southern USA, maybe, not sure. But everything's increased. We've had bushfires, we've had floods for 2 years, 2 consecutive years. We've 3. We've had nothing but bushfires and floods that have wiped out quite a lot of our actual cropping, food supply. So that's one reason. Another reason is a lot of what we grow here goes overseas. A lot of the dairy products that we make here go overseas. Before they are given to Australians, they are sold off overseas. Same with our meat and our grains goes overseas. So that's one reason. Just shortages. You know, we had a few weeks ago, lettuces were $11 each. Well, that was just crazy. But that was because there were floods that wiped out all the lettuces. Now, where I am, lettuces are out of season technically anyway. So they would have been up around the $4.50, $5 mark anyway for winter. They've come back down because they're back again. Lettuces grow quick. They're back again. So they're around $2.90, I think I saw the other day. That's one reason. The other reason is, of course, the Ukraine-Russia war has caused quite a bit of disruption to all sorts of things that filters down through various channels to us. Then you've got China still in the midst of a pandemic, whether they admit it or not. It's out of control apparently, and so they've got people locked up still, and they're blocking ships from leaving and all sorts of things. So there's a whole lot of reasons that prices are going up, and like I said, some of them are genuine, some of them just because if they can do it, we can do it. So they do. I know in the USA there's been terrible drought, so there's shortages of grains. Corn is a particular concern. If there's a shortage, of course, then prices will go up. So groceries are expensive. Buy ingredients. Ingredients give you options, but they're also cheaper. If you buy ingredients, you will spend more initially, but eat for longer, if that makes sense. Okay, gosh. Wow. Yes, please. Like would be good. Really helps our channel if you give us a thumbs up. The best thing I can say to anyone, to all of you, is your pantry is personal. Keep it that way. Do not do not spread around what's in your pantry, how big your stockpile is, whether you have medications on hand, whether you have seeds on hand, whatever. Keep it private. It's private and personal. It's family business. Don't spread it around. And I would never see anyone go hungry. They would have to work for it. There will be no free handouts. But I also know that I plan and prepare for my family's needs, not for my family and someone else's and then someone else's and someone else's, just my family. It's a very hard it's a hard thing to say. It would be harder to do, I think. But, and I have nothing against sharing, nothing at all against sharing, but I do worry that we, by sharing, we open ourselves up for problems in the future. I might need to address this. Okay. There's a very definite they are a minority. They are a minority. And there are things that there's protocols in place to help them, is what I'm trying to say. Okay. Oh, I wish I had a root cellar. No, we don't. The closest I've come to a root cellar was a silage pit a few years ago. I would love something like a root cellar. We could never do one here. Maybe in my forever home. Okay, I'm just reading. Okay. Born in the wrong century. I don't know that I wanted to live. I don't want to live in any other time. There's a few things about living in 2022 that are nice, like the dishwasher and the vacuum cleaner and the automatic washing machine. I wouldn't want to live when I didn't have a vacuum cleaner or a dishwasher or an automatic washing machine. That would make life really, really tough. But yeah. Cooking oil just in the bottle. Stand it up. Don't tip it over. I learned that the hard way. Find somewhere to stand it up, and I just take the bottle that I normally have in the kitchen for camping. Yeah. Okay. Crazy potato water lady's right. Estelle, good. There's a lot of comments and they're popping up really quickly. I'll try and answer them later. I'm sorry, but I'm doing the best I can. 46 Glennis went $46 a week. Okay, it's nearly 9 o'clock, guys. We went way over again. Sorry. Lots of chat. It's good to see. I'm really pleased. Okay. Oh, that's nice. Thank you. All right. All righty, guys. Okay. Oh, goodness. All right. Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone, for watching. If you've stuck with us this long, you deserve a medal, I think. If you liked our show, please remember, thumbs up. If you're not already subscribed to our channel, please hit that subscribe button. And if you know someone who might like to know about what we've talked about tonight, there's a share button. If you know someone who might like to know about the Cheapskates Club, there's a link to Cheapskates underneath too. I should be hopefully well and truly over this lurgy by next week. So I should be back live. Have a great week, everyone. Remember, if you've got any more questions, pop them in the comments below me, or just pop a comment in there. I do read them all and I do my best. I'll go back, Estelle, and try and find your questions and answer them for you. Have a great week, everyone, and happy cheapskating.